syndrome, one forever. On danse, on vit, on crie liberté. Africa unida até o amanhecer. Africa, I feel union. Adma Urudula la Madina. Minda karata Dar es Salaam. Kilma wahda salam salam. Salam. Yeah. Nous sommes les enfants des rêves anciens. Ils ont marché pour qu'on court plus loin. Chacun marchait, chaque petit chemin porte-l'en dans nos deux mains. Si ma maman, kakadada, tushikane, kumoya, oh yeah. Levanta bandera, corazón amor. De Luanda, Maputo, misma canción. On partage le pain, on partage la foi, hakuna mipaka. Sisi ni sauti moja. Ya Rab, Pahit Kalumna, un seul peuple, une seule voix. Levanta, 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 Africa, Africa, somos nous. Africa. Tukiamka sasa, levanta, 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 levanta. Yeah, we were dreaming while we're waking, different tongues, same fire blazing, from the night down to the peak. One heartbeat, one escape. Eh. Tunacheza, tunaungana, mbinguni wanatuzama. Wale waliotutangulia wanasema simameni juu ya dunia. Ya Rab, Wahid Kalumna. Ya Rab, Irfarayatna. Borderless moja, we rise together. Same sun, same drum, one forever. On danse, on vit, on crie liberté. Africa unida até o amanhecer.
All right. Can we get everybody to settle down, please? You push everybody in? All right, thank you. All right. Ladies and gentlemen. So what? Is there breaking up? Hello? Okay. Can you guys hear me? If you up once, please. Thank you. I'm Manahat Thomas. I am the head of programming and event at the Africa Fintech Summit. You'll also see me later because I'll be demoing Kronos EDX, one of my startups. So today we're here. Thank you. So today we have a very jam-packed program. We have some wonderful people that are here to share some insights. So before we get started, let me introduce, or let me welcome Miraf Marcos. This is his turf, so let him welcome us properly.
Thank you, Manat. Good afternoon, everyone. You know, we do events a lot at this hub, but I have to admit, this one was oversubscribed. We had something like 1,600 RSVPs. So I figured, okay, let me go to ChatGPT and ask why. And I just thought the answer would be it's because the tour guide for Speed would be here. But but it responded it's because Emmanuel would be here. So I think ChatGPT is biased. But I just want to welcome you to the ALX Hub. I think most of you guys are familiar with ALX, and we do have a lot of guests. I do want to acknowledge we do have quite a number of executives from some of the top tech companies. So I do want to thank you all for making the time to come. I also want to recognize that my own CEO Fred is also is at home. So welcome home, Fred. I'm going to keep my remarks very short because it's a jam-packed agenda, and I'll have my own, I think, fireside chat later. So I'm going to hand over the floor to Zacharias, the co-founder of the African Fintech Summit.
Thank you very much, Marafi. It's very difficult to speak after a famous person, especially with what happened a couple of weeks ago. But we're very happy you're here, both in person, and we know we have hundreds of you who are joining us virtually. Unfortunately, we cannot have all of you here in person, so thank you so much. It's a very busy week for the AU Summit, so thank you so much for carving time out and to be with us. So we're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, why AI and why now. Is very clear, as you're going to find out later on. The single most impactful differentiator when it comes to the countries and economies who are going to be successful in the future is how they deploy AI in their economies. And for Africa, that is even more urgent because right now, only 19 out of 54 countries have any sort of AI strategy. 7 are yet developing. So close to 40 have no AI strategy. Last year, there was an inaugural AI summit in Kigali, and there was a document, an African declaration on AI. 40 out of 54 countries adopted it, but execution is yet to happen in most countries. So there is an urgency when it comes to AI from a governance, from a policy, and from a deployment point of view, and that is what we're going to discuss. We're very much happy that Emmanuel is here. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I know you have a very busy schedule to carve time out of your busy travel since we saw each other last October. I know you've been in dozens of countries. Thank you for coming here. Welcome to Addis and Kwandana Meta. Great that join us. Love to have you not only for the fireside chats and the conversations, but we have a happy hour and reception after this event, kindly sponsored by OpenAI as well. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for that. And I know you have quite a few questions you want to address to Emmanuel, Fred, or any of us. The networking time will be the appropriate time, so feel free to ask any of the questions into network. So we will start our event by a keynote address by Emmanuel, who is the Africa lead for OpenAI. Emmanuel, please.
It's very nice to be with you all today. I'm just waiting for the clicker to move my slides. Perfect. This is back, right? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Well, I don't know whether to say good morning, but I think we're already in afternoon, so I'm going to say good afternoon. It's good to be with you all today. How many students we have in the room? Raise your hand. Founders? Technologists? A lot of smart people in the room, right? So let's convene. Well, maybe just a few words about myself. My name is Emmanuel Lubanio. I'm the Africa lead of OpenAI, a role that I've started about 11 months ago. The role, obviously, as Zacharias has mentioned, included a lot of traveling across the continent, and my remit happens to be government affairs, ecosystem development, meaning engaging tech ups like yourselves, and talking to students. Why did OpenAI appoint an Africa lead? OpenAI's mission is that AI benefits all of humanity, and if we are true to the mission, it needs to include Africa. So part of my engagement has been speaking to government, meeting governments, talk about AI, and to actually see the sense of urgencies that many governments are having. Because as Agnes have mentioned in his intro, this technology is very not only influential, but transformational. So let me just kick off to talk about how OpenAI from an Africa perspective, but also from a global perspective, views AI. As many of you know, I know we have a lot of smart people in the room. Before ChatGPT, AI was largely used by technologists, right? It was not so much accessible to people like myself and yourselves. We have a history of IBM in the 50s and to the social media age. But AI was so much something that was not so much in close proximity to all of us. It was rather just used by professionals. And then came OpenAI, launched in 2018, first as a research lab, and then ultimately change came when we launched ChatGPT. ChatGPT launched in November 2022, and many of you, who use ChatGPT here? I love that. I love that. We were biased towards OpenAI, so everybody used ChatGPT, nothing else, right? No, and then obviously ChatGPT came, and this is where we say the age of intelligent kicked in, right? So when ChatGPT first launched, we only had 100 million. And we moved from 100 million in 2022 to today, 800 million users, which is incredible, but also kind of shows the powerful use of people like yourself using it for daily work. Some people use it for writing emails. Some people use it to seek advice, a second opinion. But one thing that is certain, AI is here and ChatGPT is here. And as I've mentioned, many people use it for different things. And AI, as well, ChatGPT is multi-model. People use it for image generation. We have Sora. Many of you know Sora. Many use it to create videos. Many use it for other tasks. But nevertheless, ChatGPT or AI is accessible to everyone for now. We have chatbots. We have reasoners. A lot of people use it to deep think. A lot of people use it to research. A lot of people use it for academic research. And also this year, from an OpenAI perspective, is the year of scientific use of AI, meaning our focus has been placed on scientifics and scientists, which is quite noble. But we have moved from everyday tasks from conducting research, obviously from coding, from writing, to actually having different use cases. I've been traveling across the continent, and one thing that I find beautiful, which is very not only unique to Africa, but really to the world, right? A lot of people are trying to frame AI, who owns AI, but whenever I travel to the continent, whether it's Nigeria, whether it's Kenya or Ethiopia, I'm amazed by so many different use cases. I was just recently in Lagos where a driver told me that he uses Sora to animate Christian music videos. I mean, this is a use case I didn't even know of, right? So to kind of say, not only is AI close to all of us, but everybody has a different use case for it, which I think is actually the beautiful part of it, right? But the importance beyond the use cases is to understand that the world that we currently live in has totally changed and shifted with AI. One thing we are seeing from an open perspective is obviously the importance of employees, whether you work for a company, an NGO, or have your own startup, to become AI efficient. How are we ensuring that people are AI efficient, right? So are educators preparing the students to become more AI efficient? Is the government creating different curriculums to prepare the students for the technology of tomorrow? So these are some of the questions that we've been discussing, all under the mission of AI to benefit all of humanity. But in order for AI to benefit all of humanity, not only does it need to be accessible, I've mentioned we have over 800 million weekly users, and the majority of users are free users, right? But it needs to be accessible, but also affordable. So what we understand very quickly is, okay, there are different markets, but not everybody can pay the same price. For this reason, what we did, we launched ChatGPT Go. ChatGPT Go is pretty much a version which can be accessed mainly all over the world. It was launched in India, but also in Africa in October for more people to actually have access to the latest models and to a fraction of the cost, which we did before. And besides the use, besides access, besides affordability, how are we using AI? For this reason, OpenAI launched OpenAI Academy. What does it mean? OpenAI Academy is our way to democratize AI. what do we think about democratizing AI? We have launched the Academy as a convening space, which can be accessible virtually. And the first in Africa that we launched was in Nigeria last year in partnership with the University of Lagos. And hopefully we can also launch one in Ethiopia very soon. So these are some of the conversations that have been happening. These are some of the pictures of the OpenAI Academy launch in Lagos. But the core stakeholder group that have been building OpenAI products are startups like yourselves. We have over 4 million developers building upon OpenAI products. Yeah, they are different here, and the goal is to have more startups actually building upon OpenAI products, right? So we have a different partnership team, but how do we look into the future? How do we look ahead? The skills of the future of today will be people who are knowledgeable in AI, who understand how to use it to their benefits, whether you're an NGO, whether you're a company. So therefore, our mission and our that we've been having governments across the world is how are we preparing the next generation to use it, right? So many governments have been curious. We've launched different programs, and obviously, as it pertains to my own role and other people, the goal is actually to get more people and more governments to actually adopt AI curricula, AI knowledge, and so much more. So therefore, I leave you with 3 advocacy messages that we have and that I have. Is really AI as a right begins as a baseline for everyone. What does it mean? So while the conversation about AI is often about infrastructure, about compute, which again is important, but it needs to be also thought of as a human resource. Because ultimately, this technology is here, whether I happen to be Africa or whether I'm not there, it should matter. Everybody should use it. So therefore, it starts as a baseline not only to think AI from an infrastructure perspective, but also from a human perspective. We also believe that AI literacy, as I've mentioned, is quite important. Schools need to adapt their curricula. Government needs to do a better job in terms of adopting. And also we do need to do a better job to provide even greater access to our latest models. So, and again, AI should be for everyone. AI should be a right. And this is the only way we get it right, if AI is actually a right for everyone. So thanks so much for your attention. I look forward to speaking to all of you, meeting you all, and thank you.
Action. Sorry. Sorry. Let's get back on the stage for a fireside with Zach.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for that wonderful. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. That was really wonderful. So before we start delving into the question, first let me ask you a little bit personal background. Who is Emmanuel? Maybe give us a little bit about your background, your tech experience in Africa, and your role. You covered it in your presentation, but tell us a little bit more about your background, please.
Thanks for the question, Zacharias. My name is Emmanuel, as I've mentioned. I've been working in the tech space for my background has been in policy, but my first tech gig became actually at Twitter. I mean, Twitter's now X, but I used to be the head of government affairs for Africa. And during that time, this is when I actually got to kind of getting acquainted with the tech space in Africa from a policy perspective, from a product perspective. But it was quite interesting because during my time at Twitter, 4 years as the head of government affairs for Africa, we were blocked in Nigeria. There were a lot of regulatory, I would say, disputes happening, which then again also kind of prepared me for even broader tech roles. But I think the Nigeria case was quite eye-opening on the importance to have contact to governments and to kind of explain your own tech company, and also to kind of obviously be respectful of the local law and understanding the local context even greater.
I know you also have quite an international background. I know you were born and raised in Germany, and I know that you speak quite a number of languages. Maybe can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I was born in Germany, in Bonn, Germany. My parents are from the DRC and Angola, and my parents were students in Belgium and then eventually moved to Germany, and where my siblings and I happened. I went to school there, and then after graduating for high school in Germany, I moved to the US for about 8 years, during which I worked in the US Congress. And yeah, got my first taste of tech and policy.
And I know that you speak 7 languages, is that right?
5 at the moment.
5 at the
Currently
moment.
learning Spanish.
Okay, and Amharic following.
Next language to learn.
Okay, good. Now let's move on to the AI space. So, can you hear me? Okay. So we're now delving into the AI question. So last year, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, in his visit to Lagos, he said that Africa is going to be the fastest growing and most important market over the next coming decades for many companies, of course, including OpenAI. So you've been in Twitter, now you're on at OpenAI. So can you give us a perspective of the why of those global companies are looking into Africa, and also what's changing, how they're viewing Africa?
I would say that the tech conversation in Africa is not something new, right? And look, OpenAI has been around for since 2015. And there were other tech companies like P companies like Google and others around, right? But I think one thing that can be universally said about Africa, you have the talent on the continent. You obviously have the youth on the continent. You have innovators on the continent and people, for instance, like Fred, who's been kind of building and shaping and cultivating like African leadership. Why not be in Africa, right? So I think the why in itself is quite self-explanatory. But from an OpenAI perspective, the reason why we launched OpenAI Academy, for instance, or the reason why we launched ChatGPT Go is because this technology is so transformational. I think giving African problem solvers who are problem solvers by default proximity to technology that is shaping the world, it's actually the greatest thing that can happen, right? And I think for this reason, why not be in Africa? It's other companies have been here, and I'm glad that I can be the African lead to actually bring this technology hopefully to governments and to talk about the technology and to raise awareness about it. So yeah, why not be in Africa?
Fantastic. I mean, we have the same narrative for the fintech space. So whenever you're talking about financial inclusion, we're talking coming from the emerging markets, Africa being the main one. So the next fintech users come from Africa. Same when it comes to AI. I know you mentioned that OpenAI has opened its first hub in Lagos. Can you tell us a little? I'm not sure if the mic is working. Okay. I know you have that hub in partnership with the university. Tell us a little more about the partnership, what are the and what is impacting the ecosystem.
Yeah, the OpenAI Academy in itself as a philosophy is the fact that we cannot be in every country of the world, but a good way to kind of seek to democratize access on AI knowledge is to have a global and a convening space that is available online. But the way we kind of go about this convening space is to partner with local institutions. And the university happens to be one of the convening spaces in the country. And what it entails is we have hosted sessions together, we have invited the community, and then the next stage will be obviously to continue the partnership, to do capacity building, and then to upload these knowledge bases and these trainings online so that they can be viewed by people all over the world. But the vision is really not only as a company to come and speak about OpenAI, but also to cover a session that speaks about the local context of AI, how AI is done in Nigeria, and then also from us to come as a company to support in terms of trainings, how our services can be used. And yeah, the philosophy is kind of just doing a 50-50 share in terms of what we bring and what the local partner brings. So if we were to launch one in Addis, it will be in partnership with the Tech Hub or university, and where we would learn about the AI context in Ethiopia, and then us coming as a global company to kind of speak about it from our perspective.
Fantastic. So whenever we talk about AI, there are two perspectives. AI is replacing almost every job. That is, one right. AI is going to do coding. So is there any point learning? And on the other side, you can also be ahead of AI, whether from the designing, the algorithm, from the implementation, regulation side of it. Actually, AI creates a need. We have quite a few students here, also virtually listening to us. So for someone who has a fear that AI is replacing their job, What is your advice? How can they ensure that they are ahead of the future in the future?
Yeah, I would say, look, the AI happens to be a reality where it is already causing disruption. Whether people perceive this as positive or negatively, it's obviously an eyes of beholder. But I do believe, as I've mentioned in my slides, right, to get AI right, it needs to be a right. What that means is questions that governments need to pose themselves, and including our company as well. How are we preparing the next generation for what is to come, right? And I think, therefore, I mentioned the updating curriculums, right, so that everybody has this base knowledge of what AI is and what AI can be actually utilized for in their respective context. Whether you're a startup, whether you're a healthcare professional, it doesn't matter. But I think a base knowledge on what one can do with AI should be probably a right and needs to be a core focus of how we prepare the next generation. But the disruption aspect is a reality that we won't be able to kind of talk us out of. But at the same time, it just, like with any other technology, right? When the internet came, people were having similar conversations, or when electricity came, people have similar conversations. So it's just a matter of preparing for what is to come.
Fantastic. Now let's talk about ChatGPT. So a lot of us use it for various reasons. But there's also various, prompt engineering tips, how to use it effectively. Because if you go to the AI Academy, you have, AI for government, for education, for non-profits, so many users. And especially for technology founders and students, how can they effectively use ChatGPT? Any tips that you can share us?
I think I probably would have to ask one of my technologists at the company to give a better insight. But look, I think it differs from industry to industry, right? Look, we have 1 million business customers from ranging from the healthcare sector to banking, and everybody kind of use it differently. But I think maybe one advice, which is universal, actually start using it. I think sometimes it's just not magic, or it's not something so deep. Sometimes it's just really just start using it and try to apply it to your respective context, whether it's your operations, whether it's to get a second opinion. Really just use it and start playing around with it. And this is how you can figure out how it works best for you.
Thank you very much. And in closing question, in one sentence, what is your call to action to the fintech ecosystem to make Africa not an AI consumer, but an AI creator, and also not user or consumer, but as a creator and producer?
I would say, again, use it and create with it, right?
And adapt it locally.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Now, while we're here, we're going to invite Fred, who is the CEO of Sun Technologies, to join us, and we continue our conversation. We need one more chair. Okay. Thank you very much, Fred, for joining us and to join this conversation. So we'll start the question with you. Sun Technologies say that the backbone is breaking, and we fix it with physical AI. Whenever we think about AI, we're talking about software, but you're talking about physical AI. Can you explain what a physical AI means, and also what fix is taking place in Africa?
Thank you. And yeah, I also want to thank Emmanuel for joining us, and for all of you for coming. You mentioned that I'm the CEO of Sun Technologies. I'm also the CEO of ALX. So for Miraf to not get me into trouble that I've forgotten ALX. So physical AI, what is physical AI? Really, as Emmanuel mentioned, AI has been around as a field for 40 to 50 years, right? What they are doing at OpenAI and what Gemini, Google, and Claude Anthropic are doing is they've really brought a new breakthrough in AI, which has made this thing that only researchers before knew, something that today even your grandmother knows what AI is, right? So that's what is called generative AI. who can tell me what is the lifeblood of artificial intelligence models? Right? Data, exactly, right? So, you know, if AI is an engine, the thing that fuels that engine is data, right? And so the models that we all use are called large language models. And this is what OpenAI has built, what Gemini has, what Anthropic has with Claude. Now, question for everyone in the audience. What data is feeding their models? Sorry? Publicly available data. Excellent. So publicly available data is what is feeding. And where does that come from? From the internet. So every voice that's on the internet, every image, every text, every, you know, other force of language that's on the internet, it's like they took a vacuum cleaner and they sucked it all up. And they trained their models with that. Now, last question. What percentage of the world's data is on the internet? Right? 2%. Other guesses? Less than that? 2%. It's actually about 6%, is what people guess. That's readily available. So the other 94% is hidden. It's not on the internet. It is things like cell phone data. Ethio Telecom has not put your information on the internet. They know where you are. They know who you call. They know everything about you, a lot of things about you, but it's not on the internet, right? There's data in citizen health records, in the pipes in buildings. There's a lot of sensors that have been put on machines. IoT, that is telling you what's going on in the real world. So what we are doing at SAND is modeling that other 94%. That is not on the internet. It is the data that is helping to run the physical world. So a lot of the world's GDP, trillions of dollars of GDP is not in the digital world. It is in the physical world. It is in our cities, in our roads, in our pipes, in our water utilities, our power grids, telecommunications networks. So we are trying to model, we build models of the physical world that help to improve the critical infrastructure that society depends on. Our healthcare systems, our telecommunications networks, power grids, water utilities, and that kind of thing. And so when we say the system is broken, we're saying that today a lot of the world's infrastructure is breaking. And with physical AI, you can make sure that people have better water in their cities. They have healthcare. Your cell phone works when you want it to, because we can make sure that the tower is pointing at the right place at the right time. And the power grid is smart, so that you're able to make sure that you have electricity at the right place at the right time. So that's the kind of work that we are doing at SAND.
Thank you very much for explaining what you mean by physical AI. Emmanuel, do you want to comment on what that 6% data and ensuring that the additional data is coming, especially from Africa? The information, the data available in Africa, from Africa actually, the coding, the algorithm, from the planning to interpretation is missing. That is why we don't get sometimes the accurate interpretation of African context. But this physical AI that SAND is fixing is going to help the elements and the outcome from AI. Do you want to comment on that?
No, I think the work that SAND Technology is doing is incredible, right? And from our perspective, particularly as regards the continent, we've been working with partners. Right? We recently signed a commercial deal with Orange, right? Orange, which has a footprint on the continent, and they've been using our free weight models to obviously, consider the local context and languages. It started with Wolof and it's extended to other countries. So it's just a matter of, at least from our perspective, to understand it better, to have critical partners. And this is one thing we've been doing and exploring for the continent. So yeah, that's been our perspective, the key partnerships.
Thank you very much. Looking into Africa and the real life impact of AI, there are so many problems like the broken infrastructure. There are sectors that AI can have an immediate and also long-lasting impact. So looking into the real-life problems in Africa, where do you see AI has the greatest impact and also an urgent need, from healthcare to infrastructure
do you want to comment? We'll be keen to hear your viewpoints. Which sectors, which area needs the most impact from AI, from AI's deployment?
Hello. I would say that for me, there are 4 areas that I think AI can have massive impact. One is education. Imagine having the best teacher in the world in every village. That teacher never goes on strike, and they're always up to date with their knowledge, right? And they only cost you $20 a year in every village. That's what these guys are enabling with AI. Same thing with health. Something like 90% of the world's medical knowledge has only been discovered in the last 5 years. So if you're a doctor and you were trained 10 years ago, you actually don't have the latest knowledge. But with AI, I can turbocharge you. You can also take a nurse or a community healthcare worker and give them superpowers to do things that before a doctor would have done. One of the things we're doing with at SAND is we're helping governments to integrate data across their entire health network. So tracking where ambulances are, looking at where to put hospitals, and knowing when the pandemics are going to happen because you can see all the data across the whole system. So it shifts the healthcare system from being reactive and expensive to being predictive and preventative. And ministers of health can now know where to allocate their limited resources to have the greatest impact and how to make sure that pharmaceuticals are at the right place at the right time and so forth. The third area for me is in agriculture, right? I think there's huge opportunities for farmers to have intelligence, to know when to, what types of crops to plant at what time, to know how to do precision farming. And even one of the projects that we're about to launch in a big country in Africa, I won't say which country, it's not Ethiopia, but this country has 21 million cows, right? And they have a problem with cow theft. When people go and they buy and sell cows at markets, they're going back home and then thieves come and steal their cows. And then they cut off the tags from the ear. Now it turns out that cows have unique facial features like humans. So we're going to be working with this government to build a national cow database. And then when you show up at a market, when you travel to Dubai and Qatar, they have these gates that open when you walk in and they recognize your face. So now the cows will walk in and then you'll say, that's a stolen cow, right? And you can similarly use that technology to identify if you find a dead cow somewhere, look at its picture, then trace it to the herd where it came from. So you can do disease surveillance. These are the kinds of things that's why when we talk about physical AI, using AI to help improve real world, problems, right? And then the final area for me is how our cities work, right? Africa's urbanizing at the fastest rate in the world. We're going to have 800 million people moving into African cities by 2050. How do we make sure that our water systems work in these cities, our connectivity, transportation, so forth. So imagine having an intelligence center for the mayor who can track all these things that are going on and you can manage your infrastructure. We do this today for, the city of London. Our AI systems are helping to manage the water supply for the whole city. 16 million people, we predict leaks, we prevent pollution. We help them, we even track the health of the rivers that feed the city. So before you drink your water, you put in your home address and we can tell you the water you're going to drink comes from that river and here's the health of that river, right? So that kind of technology can really be used to make sure that as we build our cities, we have really, really smart and intelligent cities and that Africans can live. So there's a huge opportunity for us to use AI to really transform our societies in Africa. If we one of the things I think we need to really do better as a continent and as a world is start first with the problems that need to be solved and then work backwards to find out how AI can solve those problems. I think too much of the conversation is about the technology and you're trying to find a use case for it. It's like a hammer looking for a nail. Start with the problems first. And then there's a lot of AI techniques that can be used. Some generative AI, some physical AI, some, generative biology. There's a lot of different things that, you can start to do if you think with the problems first.
Yeah, I think for me, it will be quite challenging to pinpoint towards one industry, but obviously we recently closed a partnership with the Gates Foundation worth $50 million for Africa. So I would definitely say that the healthcare space is quite an impactful one a critical area that AI will have an impact. And I would also say education. We have an education team at the company. And in Davos recently, we announced an initiative called OpenAI Education for Countries, through which we actually speaking to ministries of education on how to potentially integrate ChatGPT or other technology into government systems, but also in the education space. And one example of that partnership is in Estonia, and we would like to extend this to even more countries, including on the continent. So yeah, those two areas.
Thank you very much. And later on, we have six innovators demonstrating their innovation, and most of them are in education. So just relating to what you say. My next question is that related to a statement Strive Masiwa, who is the founder of Kazafa Technologies, made at the last year Unstoppable Africa Summit in New York. And I quote, he said, "The next African billionaires will not be the Dangotes and the Masiwas. AI will mean the next generation of African billionaires, and they will come from reimagining solutions for problems we deal with every day here in Africa." And we have a lot of students here. So what is your viewpoint on this statement, and what does it mean for the future of wealth generation in Africa? Emmanuel.
Look, Strive is one of the greatest thinker when it comes to tech in Africa, right? And I think what I kind of got off the statement is the fact that AI will empower entrepreneurs to do more with potentially less allocation of funds or resources. So I think it will give more people agency, whether you are creating a company, whether you are using AI to make certain processes more efficient. It's really about empowerment. Whether that leads to $1 billion, $1 million company remains to be seen. But I think the key message that I kind of got out of the statement is that it will empower more people to do more without any intermediaries. So it's a message of empowerment, I would say.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with Mimo. So I think AI is a blessing and a curse for entrepreneurs. It's a blessing in the sense that it's much, much cheaper now to build a company, right? Because you can have all these digital employees, these agents. You can, you produce code without needing an engineering team. You can do so much. But that also means that your competitor can do so much. And they can quickly build a company to compete with you very quickly. So it means you're going to have to find other forms of competitive advantage, right? And capital becomes less of an issue. Talent becomes less of an issue. I want to illustrate an example of how much cheaper it is to start a company, right? With a company that I am the chairman of the board and I'm an investor in, right? I mentioned how SAND, we do physical AI and we build digital twins of things, right? So last year I did an event in New York where we introduced SAND to the US. And these two young women came to me and they said, "Oh, we build digital twins." I said, "What do you mean you build digital twins?" "I build digital twins," and because I was thinking of we build digital twins of cities and, telecommunications networks and everything. And I said, no, we build digital twins of people. And in fact, we've created a digital twin of you. So I said, "Oh, let me meet my digital twin." So they came and they met me and they introduced me to my digital twin. And what they had done is they had taken all of the data about me that was in the internet and they had created a thing that could talk and think like me, right? So, I like these two young women and they were working for a company that had raised about $4 million and they had about 13 employees, but they didn't quite like the company. So I said, "Look, let's create a company together." So they quit that company and we created a company, right? And in 2 months, we replicated what that company had done. And what they had done with 13 employees, we did it with 2 employees. And with me as their mentor and chairman. And with what they had raised $4 million, we did it with $100,000, right? And this is now the product. This is my twin. You want to meet my twin? Let's see if it works. Is your internet working here?
Hi, it's Fred. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. What's on your mind today? You're welcome. Is there anything specific you'd like to do?
You see, talk about it. I'm in Ethiopia. Can you tell the audience how Ethiopia can benefit from artificial intelligence?
Ethiopia, like many African nations, stands to gain significantly from artificial intelligence. I believe AI can revolutionize healthcare delivery, especially in rural areas, by connecting clinics with technology and enabling remote diagnostics. We can equip nurses with AI-enabled devices and use telemedicine to bridge the gap in doctor-patient ratios. AI can also help with strategic planning, such as determining the optimal locations for health facilities and cell phone towers to improve access to essential services. Furthermore, AI can boost agricultural productivity, address climate change challenges, and enhance educational opportunities. By training individuals in AI, we empower them to solve local problems and drive innovation. It's about setting.
Doesn't it sound like me? Yeah. So this company, we built this very quickly in Masters, right? So, and we're using tools like, OpenAI. And yeah. So it's made it so much easier to be an entrepreneur now. But you can imagine people are going to try and copy our company. So, we have to find other ways of, building a moat. So that's why, as all of you young people in the room, it's never been easier to build a company, but it's never been harder to protect your company. So you're going to have to become much, much smarter about what you really define as your competitive advantage in this next era. And if those who can figure it out will become billionaires.
Thank you very much. I know, Fred, you have a hard stop, so I'm going to ask you one question for both of you. So in one sentence, what would you say in the next 3 years Africa's place in AI place will be? ...
All these hard questions. I would say even beyond the 3 years, use cases coming out of Africa similar to the fintech space will present examples to the world how to even better leverage AI, how to solve better problems through AI. So I would say we will have unique solutions coming out of Africa. They will actually serve the world as an example to also solve problems in whatever region.
I'll say Africa will teach the world why AI really matters beyond what I call luxury use cases. Because, in the rest of the world, they figured out a lot of things. So now it's about entertainment and other things. Yeah, we've got real problems to solve. And so we're going to be the place that's going to show the world actually how humanity benefits from AI. And I think that's because we don't have the luxury of solving frivolous problems. We've got health, education, water, all these problems. And I think the necessity for innovation, I really believe that constraints drives innovation. We have a lot of constraints in Africa. So the most powerful innovations that the world will benefit from will come from Africa.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And that is what we've been saying at Africa Fintech Summit. Impact AI, not glamour AI, because we have a lot of use cases to have an impactful AI. Thank you so much for this fireside chat. Emmanuel and I will leave the stage, and Fred will give you the stage to give us a 3 to 5 minute keynote.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm not going to say much as, I've said a lot of the things in my talk, but just as I leave, I wanted to share a closing remark, comment about just how I really see the potential for AI for Africa. I read a paper once in a magazine called the Journal of American Affairs, and they were talking about how Africa is never going to develop because the only way to create wealth is by moving people from villages into cities and into manufacturing, right? And they were saying the only place that has done that successfully is in Southeast Asia, China and Malaysia and things like that. And they've done it so well that the rest of the world can never catch up. And they were basically saying there's no hope for Africa. That was the conclusion of the article. And the evidence they gave was they showed how GDP per capita in Africa had, the gap between the West and Africa had widened over the last 30 years. So they've gotten richer and we have gotten poorer when they measure it by GDP per capita. And what I believe they got wrong is that they're measuring wealth and development by GDP per capita. And so if we as Africans believe that metric, we'll never catch up and we're always going to be behind the rest of the world. We are what is the GDP per capita in Ethiopia? Sorry? 2,000, right? What is it? It's below 2,000. About 1,000, 16, very low, right? In America, it's 50,000, 80,000, Switzerland, 100,000. And they're growing by 3% every year. And their population is shrinking. Our population is growing. So we're never going to catch up in 100 years, if you measure that. But what they got wrong is that, why do we want GDP per capita? Because we want good quality of life. You want good health, you want education, you want enough food to eat, you want good housing. These are the things that make a good life. So one way is we can say we want to catch them up with GDP per capita and those things at the same price as they. Another way is you say, I'm going to reduce the cost of getting those things such that it fits within my GDP per capita, right? So this education that we offer here at ALX, we bought a school in Silicon Valley that people were paying $85,000 a year to get training in software engineering and data science and so forth. And we brought it to Africa. And we innovated and we used AI and other things. And we've reduced the cost of getting that same training for $5 a month, $60 a year. You can get the same education that costs $400,000 a year. Sorry, $85,000 in the US, right? So who are you to tell me I'm poor in Africa when I can send my child to a world-class training where someone who makes $200,000 in New York, after tax, that's me telling me I need to go. After tax, they're only making $100,000, and then the school costs $100,000. So they're broke, right? Meanwhile, you can send your 4 children to the same quality of education in your $1,600 a year income. Same thing with healthcare. I went to get my teeth cleaned in New York, and they wanted to charge me $4,000. That's crazy. You can make $200,000 a year in New York or London, and you can't afford healthcare. Why should we copy that? We can reimagine healthcare and deliver world-class healthcare for $100 a year, $500 a year. And then suddenly we are wealthy because we have the same standard of living or better than the people who have much higher GDP per capita. So AI offers us a chance to define development on our own terms. Because today we're chasing the wrong goal. And if we chase the goal of giving high quality of life and then reimagine how we deliver all of the services and goods that we need, then we can actually become developed, but within our GDP per capita. And the last point I'll make on this, I was in New York recently, and we did an event, and we said, let's find out which one of our ALX graduates are in the country. We thought we would need to fly them, but there were a bunch of guys working in the US. One was working at NVIDIA, one was working at Salesforce, one was doing a PhD in genetics at a university there. And all of these people had gone through, they were in the same job as people who had paid $400,000 to go to Stanford, MIT, etc., to get to those jobs. And our guys were there with a $200 a year of education, right? Same quality, much lower cost. So that is what is at stake for us in Africa. If we understand this technology, build our skills, but more importantly, reimagine how we're going to use it. And if we do that, this could be the biggest catalyst for transforming this continent that has ever existed. Thank you.
Before you leave, Fred, don't leave yet. We have a very special tradition here at ALX Ethiopia, where we welcome guests in a traditional Ethiopian way. So there will be a bread cutting ceremony. Our bread cutting ceremony is very biblical. It has a biblical story towards it. So we turn the bread upside down to signify the commitment and faith of Abraham, which we'll tell you more about later since Fred is in a hurry. So please join me, Emmanuel, Zacharias, Fred, to do the bread cutting. And please, the Ethiopians, let's do the Ethiopian way. The ladies, I need a Lideta, right? Okay. Come here. Okay, Fred, yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fred. I will also be serving coffee.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so while we're setting up for that, we do have some space over here. So can we make some space for the people that are by the door to come in? And also, if you don't have your phone turned off, please turn it off. It's a little disruptive for people that are on the stage. All right, so we'll be serving the bread that they just cut in a little bit during the networking hour. There's also coffee, so please, when the coffee is ready, please do help yourself. We want to make sure this is more, it's authentic and it's natural, so please don't be shy. One thing about questions, again, I think since we are jam-packed, and I think Zakaria has touched on it, we will have an opportunity for people to ask any question that they want. We will take it back. We'll get Emmanuel and Zach to look at it, and then we will send it through all your emails just in case we don't get to you. But of course, you're going to have enough time to talk to Emmanuel, to Zach, potentially Fred, and other people here. All right, so can we, all right, we're all good, we're set up. So can I invite Zach back, Zacharias back to the stage, and also Miraf, the general manager of ALX, who has disappeared. Oh, he's there. Okay. For a fireside chat on what the future holds.
That's fine. Thank you so much, Manat. Rafet, first of all, thank you. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Okay. First of all, thank you so much for hosting us at this beautiful location, venue, and thank you so much for partnering for this Addis AI forum. Obviously, this fireside chat is talking about the talent that is building the AI. So we talked about the impact AI has, and you're building the talent that is powering the AI here in Ethiopia and also at ALX Africa. But first, okay. Let's talk a little bit about you. So you've become famous in the last couple of weeks. Some of us are wondering, as you're a historian, are you a tour guide? I personally know you as a husband of Yo-Yo, who is a Flawless Events have powered our events since 2019 across the continent and across the US. And all of a sudden now you are a tour guide. So can you tell us about yourself and your involvement in tech and your role at ALX Ethiopia, please?
So happy to report that. And my LinkedIn does not say tour guide, but I guess in a way, you know, the giving. By the way, the organizers of a disclaimer: people think I brought speed. Actually, the guys who brought speed are right there. So give them a round of applause. I realize Yonail is in the room, and then another gentleman named Eyob, who have contributed. I don't know if I should say to my misery or to my happiness. I don't know, but I guess to your question, even though I didn't think about it that time, but when I think about it, I guess giving that young man a tour was an extension of what we do here at ALX, which is basically guide young talent to the best of their abilities, yeah, at scale. Yeah? So I'm the general manager of ALX Ethiopia, and I also manage Sand Technologies, which Fred I think has spoken about. I guess the simplest way to think about it is at ALX we train the talent and then we take them and deploy them in Sand so they can solve real world problems. Yeah? So we train and then we solve problems. So there are two sides to the coin.
Thank you very much. So just to explain that further, you help the talent, you give them various training, and then they come up with their solution. Do you also kind of incubate them, and do you also provide post-training support?
So on the ALX side, one of the things that so as an organization, we've been very consistent for the last 2 years about one thing, which is that we believe Africa's greatest resource is its capital. And its capital is measured by human resource, and not necessarily by what's under the ground. And we believe that that human resource needs to be trained at scale. So what we do at ALX is we train at high quality, at high scale, but at low cost, which is a very difficult thing to do. I think this is often linked to tech companies and not necessarily to other companies. When you scale, you compromise with something. Either you compromise on quality or you compromise on price. But what we've been able to do at ALX, and I think this is what my CEO was also talking about, is we've been able to give trainings like cloud computing, which would cost you, you live in the US, you know how much these things cost. We can deliver that to you at the same quality that you'd get it, somewhere in Silicon Valley, but at $5 a month. Of course, it is subsidized. I mean, we do have a cost, but even our cost is not that high as what it would be in the US. Yeah. So one of the things we do is that, we believe that talent needs to be developed at scale. But we don't stop there. We also believe that, talent without opportunity is frustration. Opportunity without talent is meaningless. But opportunity also, there's not enough jobs being created right now, regardless of how much we try, that will be able to absorb young people. It does not matter if we train in the millions, because the demographics is such that there are more young people entering the labor force than there are jobs that are enough for them. So we believe that they need to create jobs for themselves, create opportunities for themselves. So another thing we do is, as entrepreneurship, we have what we call our ALX Ventures program, where we support founders, and we support them in terms of taking their ideas to become business and hopefully eventually commercially viable businesses.
Fantastic, thank you very much. So we have 2 locations, one here and then you have another location in Addis. Since you started in Ethiopia, can you give us some figures? How many students have been trained? Any particular outcome? Is there a product launched or a business successfully came out of your venture? Any success story you can share us?
Sure. So in Ethiopia, we've been operational since 2020, or I should say the latter part of 2020. So we've enrolled over 40,000, actually to be precise, over 42,000. Actually, let me take a step back. So we have over 100,000 that have started application. There's a journey you have to go through. But in terms of enrollment, we've enrolled over 40,000. We've graduated over 10,000. So to my point earlier, scale. So that's on average at least 2,000 a year, and primarily in tech. So if you take our universities on any given year, you don't have that high of a scale in terms of coming out of ASTU and other places. So I think for us, one success is just that scale. Now I should also mention though, our scale relative to Nigeria and Ghana is not as high, and I do want to emphasize, because I think there's a bit of a I think there's this notion that an education, kind of a universal language is not. So even though tech, people say you don't need, you need to speak English to do tech. I think that's BS. I think you do need it. So we do see a lot of people not make it through applications and so forth. I'm digressing, but I just want to say that I think if there are people in this room that are for a common language that helps you understand, that helps you become global. If you want to be in tech, you need to speak a global language. So that hurts us a bit, but even with that, we've achieved scale. You asked me about success stories. So I think maybe I'll give 3 examples. So one is, I think increasingly we are becoming a backbone to a lot of the local tech companies. So as an example, we just recently did a survey of one of the leading tech companies, MMCY. 38 of their staff are ALX graduates. We're launching this across, and I think I see UNA2 somewhere. I think I'm hoping that the number for UNA2 will probably be 60 or 70. But I think there's a lot of companies now that depend on ALX talent, and I've actually seen job posts that actually say ALX certification a plus. So I think that's a validation that our talent is sought after. So that's, I think, another. And then, I do want to repeat what Fred said, and I can give specific examples of individuals that, are now, that used to come to this hub. Several days are now, in Germany working for AWS and NVIDIA. And the point there is not that they're just working at a Fortune 500 company, it's that you are getting a So besides just the training, we also do a kind of an entrepreneurship program. We have what we call our ALX Ventures program. So we now primarily work with two government institutions. So we're supporting the Ethiopian Investment Holdings and building out their new incubation program. They're calling it, I believe, Eureka or Jumpstart. The name has not been decided. But and then most recently, we're working with the AI startup centers, and I don't know if Yodit is here. I know she was going to come, but so Yodit is the head of the center. So I mean, we're doing four things. So one is kind of co-designing the curriculum for all the founders that are going through the program. So just kind of helping them think beyond kind of the academics of entrepreneurship, which does tend to dominate what's happening now. So because we've had so many engagements with startups, how do you kind of get them to think commercially, understand what it means to figure out who pays, why should they pay, kind of having a go-to-market strategy. The other thing we support them on is we just run a lot of master classes with actual entrepreneurs, so they get a sense for what it means to be an entrepreneur and the journey they have gone through. Another area is also just kind of helping them do kind of discovery, price discovery, product discovery, also a lot of prototyping. Actually, for those of you who have not visited the AI Institute, I would actually strongly encourage you. They actually have a fab lab in the basement now, so you can actually prototype, you can actually do a lot of 3D printing. So we're supporting a lot of their startups so the startups that go in there are either have to be using AI or they have to be tech enabled. So there's also a selection. So also even working with them in the selection, coming up with the selection categories and so forth. So it is something that we started. I mean, they're also new, and then as part of that, we're also in discussion with the government on the new university, on the AI university. so that we can also give our curriculum to that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So now you've been involved in AI, in particular here in Ethiopia, from a both SAND and ALX point of view. So if you were in high school, let me take you back to your teenage years, and knowing what you know now, what kind of courses would you take, and what is your advice to the students, like to future-proof their career, how to be really aligned with the AI era? What would you have done if you're a teenager in high school, and what would you advise the students?
It's only been 2 years since I graduated from high school, so that's not a hard question. But I do have a high schooler as a son, so so you're saying what would I advise and myself? So to survive in today's world. So I think the fundamentals still remain. So I think math, my kids hate math, but I think math is extremely important. Just soft skills. I think, especially if it's in Ethiopia in particular, our schooling systems don't really teach you critical thinking, problem solving. So I think that's an area where I would really encourage young people to get exposure in.
an expert in digital infrastructure and open source education. So he'll discuss how we can turn power into value and actually add value and monetize the power that Ethiopia has. Next, we have Nahom Gaitu, VP Product at WebSprings. So he'll give us from an operator lens, right? A cloud hosting platform needs the right infrastructure to thrive, to run AI applications. So he'll give us that lens and also give us the operator's perspective. And last, we have Fireo Bayena, CEO of Bamako Real Estate. So this is his expertise in engineering, construction, and leading large-scale digital infrastructure projects or infrastructure projects in general will really help answer the question, can Ethiopia build world-class facilities to enable AI and become a regional hub? So now let's begin with a broader view. We're going to talk about what Ethiopia could be. So Mikhail, if Ethiopia becomes a leading digital and AI hub, what benefits will AI bring to the well-being of Ethiopian people in healthcare, education, social cohesion, etc.?
Thank you. Good day, everybody. I hope it's working. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the fantastic outline for the conference. I never saw anything like that, so detailed and thoughtful. I hope I will be able to be at that level. Again, sitting here with all our iPhones, MacBooks, and stuff, it's probably quite easy to forget about what's going on outside, and it's very different. My experience tells me that most of conversations about innovation, AI, innovation technologies and stuff can overshadow what we know about the world around us, and that might be problematic because we all want to see the modern country, digital country, digitized country, prosperous country, but there are many things that we need to solve on the way there. And for example, the high mortality among newborns, stunted development in the young people, the simple things like preventable blindness that is quite rampant in the country, youth unemployment about 30% at least, maybe higher. And at the same time, how we solve this thing, we have 2 doctors per 10,000 people. We have about 1 teacher per 50 pupils. So we certainly have to address those issues. And well, as Emmanuel's boss, Sam Altman, once said, energy and AI is everything in the world. And that is it. Is it possible to solve all our problems? Yeah, we can do a lot with AI. AI obviously can be the medical assistant available to people. ChatGPT given for free to the people in rural places probably will teach them hygiene and maybe other things. Just today, I believe that a lot of blindness can be prevented with just simple conversation. It's already there. We have all that knowledge. What our energy can bring, irrigation. I would rather be the irrigated things and tomatoes not being the seasonal fruit, as I was once told. And other things like water purification and others. So that probably not direct answer to your question, but that is what we should be thinking of. And everything else is just the road getting there. Yeah.
Thank you, Mikhail. So now we'll go to Kal, right? So Ethiopia has some of the cheapest power in the world, but it doesn't mean anything if we don't have the right business model to actually monetize it. So Kal, with your experience, in a winning scenario, what does globally competitive business model look like for monetizing power and space through digital infrastructure?
Sure. Well, I think Ethiopia is leading that model right now. Ethiopia is currently the 8th largest Bitcoin miner in the world. Ethiopian Bitcoin miners account for 2.7% of the entire Bitcoin network. So every 10 minutes, there's roughly 3 Bitcoin that goes out as a reward to these Bitcoin miners, and 2% of that, or almost 3%, is coming into Ethiopia. Just to kind of give you guys some high-level numbers, 94 PLCs, private limited companies, now exist in Ethiopia dedicated to data centers, cloud services, and cryptocurrency mining. So these 94 companies are registered. They're called FDI, Foreign Direct Investment, and they're spending a lot on energy. Per month, it's coming out to about $30 million of revenue for Ethiopian Electric Power. This accounts to about 20% of their total revenue. And they're selling stranded energy. So this is energy that we essentially don't need at a certain time and place. It often dissipates if you don't put it into a battery. And so Ethiopian Electric Energy, I think, is proving that this model is scalable. They're on track for about $350 million this year. And Ethiopian Investment Holdings, under the leadership of Dr. Brook and our Prime Minister, will now be involved directly in Bitcoin mining. So they have a vision for a PPP, public-private partnerships, to own 20 to 30% of these incoming mega facilities. They've talked about an AI city. I'm talking about manufacturing and repair, as well as education through their 5 million coders initiative. And so I think we're very fortunate to see Ethiopia not just following in the footsteps of countries like the United States and China, Russia, El Salvador, but we're leading our own way using the power of the Nile River, which can generate up to 45 gigawatts. Right now, our national grid is only generating 8 gigawatts. So these are the things we're seeing. These are the numbers that we're pushing forward, and I look forward to seeing more data centers and AI actors coming into Ethiopia.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gal. So we'll pass that mic to Nahom. And Nahom has experience, of course, in the cloud infrastructure world. So from your experience, what type of hosting providers are coming in, or what technology companies are coming into ET using your services? And ideally, what does the situation look like for them? Could you touch that on that?
Okay, so thank you for having us here. Basically, the infrastructure setting in Ethiopia is as follows. It's not if Ethiopia is going to become the digital, the regional digital hub of Africa, it's when and who is going to be ready to serve the demand when it arrives. So WebSprex is positioning itself for that. In terms of enterprises and the layers of hosting that are going to be needed, one of the major businesses are going to be already the pre-existing enterprises, like the banks, from the health sector and the government ones. So these enterprises already have their own on-premise infrastructure, but cloud will be used, is going to be used for multiple different purposes, like, for example, disaster recovery second sites, and also it's going to be the main go-to for staging and testing environments. And these enterprises are not going to just right off the bat move their systems to cloud. They are going to use a hybrid approach. So these enterprises will still use their on-premise infra for their core systems, but move some of the systems they use partially onto the cloud. So it's going to create a capacity for elasticity. So that it can be elastic, and they don't have to put huge expenditures on creating or buying or overbuying hardware as they currently do. And the second one is the second sector, or the second layer, will be regional companies from East Africa and Africa in general, trying to make Ethiopia their base for low latency services. And the other ones obviously will be global platforms using, they're not going to move everything right now, but they will move parts of their systems here for low latency, obviously. And for example, in the traditional sense of things, they will use our cloud or local clouds for caching and content delivery, for much faster content delivery, and the more modern one for AI inference. So trained models will be hosted here for real-time answers and faster.
So now we get into the heavy duty stuff, construction, right? To have more data centers, to have more digital infrastructure, you need the right construction partners. So Freo, in a successful scenario, how could leading Ethiopian construction companies and technology firms work together differently than today to actually build
Thank you, Mickey. In my thinking, in today's scenario, when we talk about AI, we consider about only the softwares, the models, or the innovation. But the truth is, AI will not exist if the infrastructure is there. So the infrastructure is mandatory, and every developer should consider how the infrastructure will be integrated with the system. So when we consider most of the real estate developers, currently they are working on separately. The construction company works on the building only, the infrastructure, the technology operators, every experts are working separately, and they are working in a silo thinking. That's a major problem. But if we consider a building that have a good basement and some spaces, we can use that one with small area to generate what we want. As Carl said, he told us very big numbers. We are the 8th place in the world. That means if we implement the integration well, we can build more and more. In general, energy developers will not think about lighting homes from now on. They will think about powering the system specifically regarding to high computing demand, because AI needs a full-time power, electricity, and reliable and continuous electricity. So if we providers, the IT experts and the construction experts, if they sit down on the table at the beginning and design and plan it well, we can provide a good option.
Perfect. So while you're there, let's pose the question: can builders today build world-class infrastructure? Now let's get into what can builders do? What can they actually build today on the international scale?
Thank you, Mickey. Again, the question is the right question, but short answer, yes, absolutely right. Ethiopian construction companies can build with international standards, because there is the technology, there is the expertise, there is the engineers, but the only thing left is the integration. In my thinking, the integration is the main thing. You know, the past 2 decades, if you see Ethiopia is developing, there are different mega projects are constructed in our countries with our contractors. We have about 100, I think more than 3,000 GC1 or grade 1 contractors which can build with international standards. So let's say Bamako currently, we built a very big amphitheater which have very complex mechanical and electrical infrastructures within it. So yes, we can build, but the main thing is, as I said earlier, the thinking should be shifted from the silo thinking to ecosystem thinking. That's the major thing. If we bring all the experts properly on time and before executing the project at the inception stage, we can construct, definitely.
Thank you for that. So ecosystem thinking, that's a huge takeaway. Instead of contracting the construction company after the plan, bring them in as a partner. Let them co-create the space. Let them tell you about the power constraints and work out it that way. So now just quickly touch on, from your experience, whether it be local technology companies operating in Ethiopia using your services, or whether it be the international technology companies looking to co-locate a section of their computing here. From your experience, what are some of the infrastructure gaps that affect Ethiopia the most right now?
So in our current little experience in the cloud services, we have noticed that most of the customer complaints are really straightforward and not abstract at all. So basically, when you come to the list, it's unstable applications, unstable service, and also the minimal ability to scale. So in terms of infrastructure, one of the main things, one of the very large gaps we see is interconnection. So how different networks connect to each other. So even if you are hosting in Ethiopia or your servers are located in Ethiopia, if different networks don't exchange traffic efficiently, the user traffic will actually take longer routes and performance degrades. So the key point here is local traffic should stay local. And this leads me to the second infrastructure gap, which is carrier neutral data centers or facilities. So carrier neutral data center is a facility where multiple internet service providers or network operators are actually present so that the customer is not locked to a single carrier. So this brings forth a lot of opportunities for cloud customers in such a way that they can deploy redundant services much more easily, and they can also scale by just interconnecting in the same building. The third and the most important one is internet exchange point and broad peering. So internet exchange point in the sense of things means a shared location by multiple internet service providers so that they can exchange traffic directly. And peering is just the general agreement that this data can be exchanged. And broad peering means multiple ISPs are present. So if this is present and multiple ISPs are actually exchanging traffic locally, international international routing is unnecessary, and that will make content much more cheaper and resilient in the sense that it doesn't need international routing. So Websprix has pioneered ADX, which is the first internet exchange point in Ethiopia, as a consortium, and it is in a sandbox framework regulated by the Ethiopian Communications Authority, and we think this will be the main foundation for making connectivity into a platform.
Great. Gal, you've been in the space. Obviously, it's from a Bitcoin mining angle, but there's a lot of use cases and lessons that are taken away. But from your experience in the infrastructure reality today, what have been the strengths and limits of Ethiopian power or Ethiopian digital infrastructure, and how should those lessons shape AI and data center development, whether it be on the edge or larger scale facilities?
That's a great question. I think our strengths are clear. We have a high altitude here in Ethiopia, 2,000 meters. That helps some of this hardware, some of these servers, miners, etc., cool down naturally. So that helps. We have the Nile River, the power of the Nile River, beginning in Ethiopia. So we're blessed with a great deal of not only hydroelectric energy today, but potential, right? So we can keep building and adding to the grid. The challenges are many. Infrastructure comes to mind. There are a finite number of power stations. We have 25. And there's a finite number of substations. We have about 192 throughout Ethiopia, and they're not well dispersed. And then we have a finite number of transmission lines, around 30,000 kilometers. And if you were to compare this with any other country that has 90, 95, 100% coverage of electricity, these numbers are dismal. We need at least 2 times, not 5, 10 times, considering our growing population. So we have a lot to offer, but I think, like our friend from Bamako had mentioned, we have to build. We need to get the construction players in line. We need the investors. We need the data centers. And I think all of that will ensure Ethiopia has a better infrastructure for the near future.
Very well put. Very well put. Mikhail, I think you were going to do some math with us today, right? You're going to do a little calculation with us. So could you share what is needed for 1 megawatt or 5 megawatt data centers and how much tokens can be generated from that?
Before talking about that, I will just add that I would be so happy to live in that reality that is usually portrayed in news and on social media, that Ethiopia has unlimited energy, that it's so much energy that we have unused energy that is wasted. That is beautiful reality, and real reality is different. Like my father lives in Summit, and they keep goats because refrigerators might not work, and there is celebration, so goat is the better transport of meat. They don't have electricity 3 days a week, and that's in Addis. In real reality, across the IT park that hosts some data centers, there is the Boleliumi, I believe, medical companies, and they bought 600 kilowatt diesel generator that is burning 1,000 liters of diesel every day. And you can understand what it means to the nature and to the economics. In real reality, when electricity is not there, and we already experienced that several times, diesel generators kick in, and you know the price of electricity created by diesel generators, 55 cents a kilowatt hour. So every time that electricity that can be generated by the hydro stations, half-dead hydro stations with the very, very old technology and everything, very seasonal drops of the electricity that they generate. But every time this electricity is going to something fancy, hotels, office centers, they use 55 cents per kilowatt energy. That's reality. And other part of that reality is that Ethiopia generates, will generate soon, probably 10 gigawatt. 437 million people living. And Vietnam generates 87 gigawatt, 87 per 102 million people. That is 12 times different, 12 times. That is kind of reality. Then suggest we want to use that electricity to generate tokens. We will get price that is about 15 times more that now we can buy tokens from the hyperscalers. By the way, one of the cheapest models today is open source, your model, OpenAI model, that's like GSS, I believe it's called 120B. It's very smart model, I use that. And it is like less than 1 cent per token. I wouldn't bother you with that, but if it will be more, again, more than 15 times cheaper that we can generate with the data centers built here. Simple reason, NVIDIA charges a lot, or other providers will charge a lot for GPUs. You need like $20 million, $25 million for the smaller data center. And when you divide it to the output and tokens, you get, well, pricing that is extremely premium. And you have to have very good reason to do that.
So it's good. We like debate in panel discussions, right? So this is great. So let me ask now. Ethiopia is obviously selling its power to neighbors, right? Selling its power to neighbors like Kenya, Kigali, Rwanda, etc. And those countries have done a good job of bringing huge hyperscales into the country, generating revenue for the country. So the question now, maybe I'll pose this to kind of open-ended to Fareo, Al, and Mikhail. There's two sides of the equation, right? We can invest into power infrastructure today, but with what capital? Do we generate the capital and reinvest back into the grid, or do we wait until there's enough capital? So I guess my question was, are there potential models in which data center companies generate revenue using the cheaper power? Of course, by your calculations, there are some premium aspects to it, but using a cheap power initially, but reinvesting back to the grid so there is stable power and you can expand the grid. And maybe, Ad, you can touch on the power generation versus transmission today and how that could be an equation that we use in lessons from Bitcoin. Maybe you want to touch on that going into the power section?
So thank you for that excellent question. I think a good way to maybe balance this would be to talk about what we call curtailment. So I was working in Texas in the middle of nowhere, Bitcoin mining facility, and around 5, 6 p.m., I'm in my overalls and it's 100-degree heat, and it's summertime. Everybody goes home. turns on their air conditioning, and the load is too much for the grid to bear. And so at that time, the company I was working for received a signal from the power authorities in Texas. It's called ERCOT. And they asked the data center, the Bitcoin mining facility, to turn off. And they did. And you can actually hear all of the machines sputter, and it takes about a second. And there's a solar facility right next door, and that begins to divert power to the residential community. So we call that curtailment. That's built into the agreement. Additionally, in Ethiopia, we also have curtailment. For example, last week, we had 20,000 guests come in for the African Union. And at that time, the Bitcoin miners throughout Olelemi and Kalinto and Deborah Burhan, et cetera, were asked to turn off. And so this happens seasonally. This happens within a 24-hour period. This is built into the contract. And so the industry is aware that power fluctuates, that usage and demand fluctuates. To get some basic numbers out there, and these numbers are coming from Ethiopian Electric Power, they're not coming from the UN or another institution. This is what's on the receipts and the invoices. Residential houses pay about 1 cent kilowatt hour. Our prime minister made the case in front of his entire parliament 2 weeks ago that this is the cheapest in Africa. He also makes the case with water and land and internet. For commercial businesses, the price is around 2 cents kilowatt hour. Now they're paying in the Ethiopian birr and the local equivalent. The Bitcoin miners are now paying 4 cents kilowatt hour. And within 2 years, they'll be paying 6 cents kilowatt hour. So that's a high premium that they're paying. And why do they do that? Well, because we want to instead support our hospitals, our universities, and our commercial centers. So I think there is a balance. There's not a best. I support the development of all of these industries. But when it comes to stranded energy that is going to dissipate without a buyer of first reserve or last reserve, then I think these Bitcoin miners, these cryptocurrency data centers, and the like are our best bet. So I'm very happy about what the power companies are doing. I think that's showing up in our budget. Like I said, that's $30 million per month that otherwise would not have been generated.
So I think on that note, stay tuned for more. We're out of time, but we will continue this discussion and we'll finish this debate out. I think it's a great, timely one. But at the end of the day, AI needs local infrastructure. Ethiopia is also passing a law about the personal data proclamation where data generated in Ethiopia has to sit in Ethiopia, but data just doesn't sit in the clouds, right? It needs a physical place to sit in. So with that being said, we'll end our panel. Thank you for the panelists. But while we're here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little chant, right? Let's do a chant to close kind of more of the discussions. And we're gonna do the Addis AI Forum. We're gonna capture it on video. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and let's all scream Addis AI Forum just to wake up, and it will be a good segue to the pitch competition. I know it's cringy, just go for it. It will look good on video. So can we do it? Can you guys support me if I go 1, 2, 3? All right, so get the video, get the video. So on 3, again, we're gonna go Addis AI Forum, and it's a big thank you to Emmanuel, Zacharias, Miraf for putting this night together, and it will be a good intro to the video, all right? So on 3, we're gonna scream Addis AI Forum, everybody. So 1, 2, 3. Addis AI Forum. That was kind of bad. Again, now. 1, 2, 3. Addis AI Forum. Nice. Thank you so much.
1 second, guys. Let's get a group photo before you guys leave the stage. Let's get a group photo. All right. So the next part of the session is we're going to be showcasing and demoing 7 companies while they're doing that. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Let's exit the stage. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Did everybody have coffee? Did everybody have popcorn and dabo? I think people are. All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute break and we'll be back and we'll do the showcase after 5 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, we were dreaming while we're waking, different tongues, same fire blazing, from the night down to the peak. One upbeat, one escape, yeah. Tunacheza, tunaungana mbinguni wanatuzama. Wale waliotutangulia wanasema simameni juu ya dunia. Ya Rab, wahid kalumna. Ya Rab, irfarayatna. Borderless moja, we rise together. Same sun, same drum, one forever. On danse, on vit, on crie, liberté. Africa unida, te amanhece. Yeah, Africa, I feel you, Nina. Admaudu Jula la Madina. Minda karata Dar es Salaam. Kilma wahta salam, salam. Salam. Nous sommes les enfants des rêves anciens. Ils ont marché pour qu'on court plus loin. Chacun marchait, chaque petit chemin porte l'en dans nos deux mains. Si ma maman, kakadada, tushikane, tumoya, oh yeah, takadada. Levanta bandera, corazón amor. De Luanda, Maputo, mesma canção. On partage le pain, on partage la foi, hakuna mipaka. Sisi ni sauti moja. Yara, wahid kalumna. Un seul peuple, une seule voix. Levanta, 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 levanta. Africa, Africa, somos nós. Tukiamka sasa, levanta, 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 levanta. Yeah, we were dreaming while we're waking, different tongues, same fire blazing, from the night down to the peak. One upbeat, one escape, yeah. Tunacheza, tunaungana mbinguni. wale waliotutangulia wanasema simameni juu ya dunia. Ya Rab, wahid kalumna, Ya Rab, irfa rayatna, borderless moja, we rise together, same sun, same drum, one forever, on danse, on vit, on crie, liberté, Africa unida, te amanhecer. Ya Africa, I feel you nina, admaudu jula la Madina, minda karata Dar es Salaam, kilma wahda salam salam, salam. Nous sommes les enfants des rêves anciens, ils ont marché pour qu'on court plus loin. Chacun marchait, chaque petit chemin porte l'en dans nos deux mains. Si maman, kakadada, tushikane, tugumoya, oya, jagadada. Levanta bandera, corazón amor. De Luanda, Maputo, mesma canção. On partage le pain, on partage la foi, hakuna mipaka. Sisi ni sauti moja. Ya Rab, wahid kalumna, un seul peuple, une seule voix. Levanta, 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 Africa, Africa, somos nós. Tukiamka sasa, levanta, 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 levanta. Yeah, we were dreaming while we're waking, different tongues, same fire blazing, from the night down to the pit. One heartbeat, one escape. Yeah, tunacheza, tunaungana, mbinguni wanatuzama. Wale waliotutangulia wanasema simameni juu ya dunia. Ya Rab, wahid kalumna, Ya Rab, irfa rayatna, borderless moja, we rise together, same sun, same drum, one forever, on danse, on vit, on crie, liberté, Africa unida, te amanhecer. Ya Africa, I feel you nina, admaudu jula la Madina, minda karata Dar es Salaam, kilma wahda salam salam, salam. Nous sommes les enfants des rêves anciens, ils ont marché pour qu'on court plus loin. Chacun marchait, chaque petit chemin porte l'en dans nos deux mains. Si maman, kakadada, tushikane, tugumoya, oya, jagadada. Levanta bandera, corazón amor. De Luanda, Maputo, mesma canção. On partage le pain, on partage la foi, hakuna mipaka. Sprijini floții moje Iara Pait ca lumna Un seul peuple Une seule voix Levanta, levanta, levanta Levanta Africa, Africa Somos noi Sasa, levanta, 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 levanta. Yeah, we were dreaming while we're waking, different tongues, same fire blazing, from the night down to the peak. One heartbeat, one escape. Yeah, tunacheza, tunaungana mbinguni wanatuzama. Wale waliotutangulia wanasema simameni juu ya dunia. Ya Rab, wahid kalumna. Ya Rab, irfan hayatna. Borderless, moja, we rise together. Same sun, same drum, one forever. On danse, on vit, on crie, liberté. Africa unida, te amanhecer. Africa, I feel you, Nina. Admaudu Jula la Madina. Minda karata Dar es Salaam. Kilma wata salam, salam. Salam. Nous sommes les enfants des rêves anciens. Ils ont marché pour qu'on court plus loin. Chacun marchait, chaque petit chemin porte-l'en dans nos deux mains. Si maman, kakadada, tushikane, tugumoya, oya, tugadada. Levanta bandera, corazón d'amor. De Luanda, Maputo, mesma canção. On partage le pain, on partage la foi, hakuna mipaka. Sisi ni sauti moja. Yara, Pait kalumna. Un seul peuple, une seule voix. Levanta, 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 levanta. Africa, Africa, somos noi. Tukiamka sasa, levanta, 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 levanta. Yeah, we were dreaming while we're waking, different tongues, same fire blazing, from the night down to the peak. One heartbeat, one escape. Yeah, tunacheza, tunaungana, mbinguni wanatuzama. Wale waliotutangulia wanasema simameni juu ya dunia. Ya Rab, wahid kalubna. Ya Rab, irfa rayatna. Borderless moja, we rise together. Same sun, same drum, one forever. On danse, on vit, on crie, liberté. Africa unida, teo amanhece. Ya Africa, I feel you nina. Ab maudu jula la Madina. Minda karata Dar es Salaam. Kilma wahda salam salam. Salam. Nous sommes les enfants des rêves anciens. Ils ont marché pour qu'on court plus loin. Chacun marchait, chaque petit chemin porte l'en nos demain. Si ma maman, kakadada, tushikane, tugumoya, oya, tugadada. Levanta bandera, corazón amor. De Luanda, Maputo, mesma canção. On partage le pain, on partage la foi, hakuna mipaka. Sisi ni sauti moja. Ya Rab, wahid kalumna. Un seul peuple, une seule voix. Levanta, 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 levanta. Africa, Africa, somos nós. Tukiamka sasa, levanta, 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 levanta. Yeah, we were dreaming while we're waking, different tongues, same fire blazing, from the night down to the peak. One heartbeat, one escape. Yeah, tunacheza, tunaungana, mbinguni wanatuzama. Waliotutangulia wanasema simameni juu ya dunia. Ya Rab, wahid kalubna. Ya Rab, irfa rayatna. Borderless moja, we rise together. Same sun, same drum, one forever. On danse, on vit, on crie, liberté. Africa unida, teo amanhece. Ya Africa, I feel you nina. Ab maudu jula la Madina. Minda karata Dar es Salaam. Kilma wahda salam salam. Salam. Nous sommes les enfants des rêves anciens. Ils ont marché pour qu'on court plus loin. Chacun marchait, chaque petit chemin porte l'en nos demain. Si ma maman, kakadada, tushikane, tugumoya, oya, tugadada. Levanta bandera, corazón amor. De Luanda, Maputo, mesma canção. On partage le pain, on partage la foi, y'a kuna mipaka. Sisi ni sauti moja. Yara, Pahit kalumna, un seul peuple, une seule voix. Levanta, 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 Africa, Africa, somos nosotros. Tukiamka sasa, levanta, 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 levanta. Yeah, we were dreaming while we're waking, different tongues, same fire blazing, from the night down to the day. One heartbeat, one escape. Yeah, tunacheza, tunaungana, mbinguni wanatuzama. Wale waliotutangulia wanasema simameni juu ya dunia. Ya Rab, wahid kalumna. Ya Rab, irfan hayatna. Borderless moja, we rise together. Same sun, same drum, one forever. On danse, on vit, on crie liberté. Africa unida, te amanhece. Ya Africa, Aisa feel Nina. Adma udutula la Madina. Minda karata Dar es Salaam. Kilma wata salam salam. Salam. Nous sommes les enfants des anciens. Ils ont marché pour qu'on court plus loin. Chacun marchait, chaque petit chemin porte l'en nos deux mains. Si maman, kakadada, tushikane, fumoya, oya, togodada. Levanta bandera, corazón nama.
Hello. Thanks for staying. So we're moving to the most exciting part. Can I have your attention? I mean, those of you at the back, you can come in with your snacks. So we've been talking about impact AI and have innovators that have deployed AI in culture, digital in culture, education, health. And for today, we have selected 6 AI startups who will be showcasing certain products. It's not really a presentation, it's just a demonstration so that you can see what Ethiopian startups are doing in various sectors that they are making change by deploying AI. So we have given them 5 minutes. So they have to finish their in 5 minutes. We'll monitor the time. And then after that, we'll just ask them 2 questions and then they will share their feedback. After that, we'll just do a closing statement and then we'll move on to our happy hour. We're standing between you and your drinks, so we're not gonna keep you long. So we'll start with the first innovation, and that's going to be Liu, and it's going to be demonstrated by Bethlehem Girma. Bethlehem, please. Bethlehem, here.
Go ahead, please. So Bethlehem is demonstrating a product innovation called the U from ICOG Labs. Over to you. So Manahat, your monitoring time, 5 minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Product lead for Layu. Okay, Ms. Bethlehem Gurma, lead for different. We work on building different tech solutions, and most recently we were working on an AI chatbot called Weda Salon. So our first approach to build this chatbot was looking into models that we can refine and use for this chatbot. So just to clarify, SARI chatbot is sexual and reproductive health advisor chatbot that can be used for use to get information regarding STI, family planning, pregnancy, and more. So we were looking into models, and we were testing different models, and the performance we got from these models was not good, especially for Ethiopian local language, Amharic, Tigrinya, Afan Oromo, and more. So the second approach we were taking was looking into data sets that can be used to refine these models. So one of the biggest data set library, maybe I don't know if you're familiar with it, is Common Crawl. So we were looking into data sets in Ethiopian language, but from the total data set available, only 0.1% of it is Ethiopian language data set, which we didn't find that useful. That's when we came up with Layu. Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, so the availability of data set in Amharic and other Ethiopian local language is very low, and also the data quality is very low, and also when we speak of especially voice data that can be used for text-to-speech or speech-to-text, we couldn't find enough data sets. That's when we came up with a product called Layu. Layu is, in Amharic, means to identify. So in Layu, we crowdsource data collection while providing a fair compensation for the community that help us get this data sets. And when we're working on the data collection implementation, we align with different industry leaders such as Scale AI. We align with the data infrastructure and labeling practices used by this big industry leaders. We focus on structured microtask based data collection and creation, and we have a multiple layer of data validation to make sure the data actually represents the context of the language. And in near future, we plan to actually improve our platform as we go on. And one way to do that is we plan to integrate a model that's automatically annotate and label the data that's been collected, and that will be acting as the first stage of data validation. Of course, we will have a human validation in the system. And the second one we'll be doing is an email-based analysis in the performance of the contributors that will allow us to make the data collection process more efficient and shorten the data collection timeline. And also, we actually currently have deployed our first data set on Hugging Face. I will share that with you, anyone who's interested. But we have a well-documented data set that's currently available. Currently in Layu platform, we have more than 351 active users, and 51% of them are female. And we have more than 24,000 microtasks have been completed, and we're nearing the completion of 500 hours data collection with 69% progress. And currently we're collecting data in Amharic language in 5 dialects, and we've reached 5 cities. And of course, this data is going to be used for generative AI, NLP, machine translation, and more. As I mentioned when I started my presentation, we've tested our data sets, and we've refined Gemini model and have used this to build our chatbot, where the Salon chatbot is currently available on Telegram. And currently we have more than 1,400 active users, and we have completed more than 1,700 sessions just in 1.5 months. And opportunity ahead, as I mentioned before, we love to customize our platform to fit different use cases. So we're currently working on and continuously will be working on updating the platform, and also we will be working on expanding our reach outside of Ethiopia and also cover other low resource language. Currently, we're working with different academic institutes. Our reviewers are actually sourced from these institutes, and we also get consultation from different cultural and linguistic departments in different universities. And we will continue to consult and work with them as we as we expand our data collection. But also, we would love to work with OpenAI and other institutes to to expand our reach outside Ethiopia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. So Leyu, not Liu. So it was my mind. Leyu, okay. እናመሰግናለን. So I have one question for you. So just to give you a context, as Leyu, yes.
Yeah.
So this we're here for a listening session. So Emmanuel is here to see the ecosystem, what kind of AI innovators are here in the country. We have various government engagement tomorrow and also Thursday. So in an ideal world, what is the vision for you, for Leyu, the next 3 years? And to achieve that vision and goal, what support do you need from the ecosystem, including from the regulators, policymakers, and also from OpenAI? We're not putting Emmanuel on here to respond to your question, but just listening. So I'm going to ask every of your 6 innovators, what support do you need from OpenAI? And Emmanuel is going to listen. And we're going to also convey your answer, what support do you need from the ecosystem and from the government in our engagement with the government authorities. Over to you.
Okay. Actually, I was having a side chat with, I think, Emil Engineer, or I think she mentioned was the availability of data set we have started my problem statement with. So we want to make data set available so that innovators can use that to build models that are contextually relevant for Ethiopians, right? And also not just Ethiopian. If you see the digital space, most of the digital, even if you see ChatGPT or other AI platform, they are easily utilized by those that speak the language, English language, and also that can write and communicate in English. So we want to make these models available for those that cannot really speak in English, right? So we want to expand on low resource language and build a model, but build a data set that can be used for this model development. So from OpenAI and other partners in the ecosystem, we would love to work with them to expand this data set collection process. So the data collection implementation requires a lot of resource. So we want to get aid in that.
So partnership, that is a partnership with OpenAI and other tech partners will help you achieve that.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Now we'll move on to the Addis AI, and is going to be presented by Biniam Daniel. Biniam, please. Okay.
Okay.
Now.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm Biniam, co-founder and CEO of Adisi AI. For those of you who don't know Adisi AI, today I'm going to introduce you to a platform, an AI infrastructure that is built for the African continent. So I'm going to start quoting Mura from the early panel. He said language has become a barrier. Yes, and this barrier is blocking 2 billion people from using the benefits that we all use with current existing large language model. And it's not only blocking society, it's also blocking businesses all across the globe. In Europe, a lot of companies are investing in billions in Africa. And these businesses aren't able to utilize AI in Africa as much as it is being utilized in the Europe or US just because of this language barrier. So that's why we built Addis AI. We built a platform that speaks with Africa, literally. We put it voice first because most of our target audience are not people who live in the cities, but also rural area. These people might not have gone to proper education that will enable them to write. So we made it voice first so that it can make the user experience a lot smoother. Currently, our platform is supporting 100,000 users in the consumer-focused arena. Developers are building on the top of our infrastructure, and these are 500 developers currently working, integrating their platform through voice, text, and also audio support. And we also provide white label solutions for businesses who want an on-prem hosting. And also, we are supporting 8 enterprise clients across the globe. For our consumer-focused products, we are targeting 2 of the widely spoken languages, Amharic and Afan Oromo in Ethiopia. And for businesses, we provide 5 different languages, including Hausa in Nigeria, Fula in Guinea, and also Swahili in Kenya, along with all the other languages that we already support, Amharic and Afan Oromo. So we make money through API licensing and enterprise packets, providing them custom integration and white label solutions. Currently, we have 8 enterprise clients, and we are supporting, we actually have 5 consumer-facing products, and also other 2 in the enterprise arena as well. So these companies are helping us to fight the GPU war. These are NVIDIA Inception Program, Cubic Labs, AI Hub, and also Google for Startups are helping us to scale the very expensive cost that takes AI to. So our clients also across the Europe as well. So we are also operating in Switzerland. We have a base there as well, and also Italy. This is the team that's building the AI infrastructure for Africa. So looking ahead, so it's also worth mentioning that we are heavy on open source. We have open source quite a lot of resources. This includes data sets that are specifically made for continual pre-training and supervised fine-tuning for Amharic language. And we have also open sourced the ASR model that we've been using. So this is a whisper model starting from the small to the large variants. So these are models that you can run on your in device. So this is something that we're working with NVIDIA through their NVIDIA Flare technology to provide models that can run on edge devices. That's the next thing that we are targeting. And also, we are also releasing research papers on how we do this, because Africa doesn't only need these AI companies, but also a community that will build with them. So we believe that we are making an impact on the shortage of data sets, and also on the know-how on how to actually fine-tune and use AI language models to a custom language. So talking about looking ahead, let me first show you what we are working on, and I'll show you what our developers are using our platform on. Okay. So one of the use cases that our product is actually being used for is, well, We are in current early alpha for
Time is up, Biniam.
Okay, yeah, this is the demo aspect.
We can do that later on.
Oh.
So thank you so much. We're strict on time. So we want to be fair to everyone. But thank you so much. That was very impressive, especially your expansion to include other language and other markets. But we'll have opportunity to see your demonstration. I know you have also stand in the exhibitions. Yeah?
Yep.
So he has a stand, he has a screen. So just walk into their stand during a networking time. But you have 45 seconds to answer the next question. What is the vision for Adisi AI the next 3 years? And what does it take? What support do you need from the ecosystem and from OpenAI?
Okay, so for the first question, the vision is to include more language, to support more area, because so far we are seeing in just 1 year, we're seeing this much amount of traction because there is a need. So we want to include other 20 languages in Africa so that this can be widely used and doing it in the open source arena so that we can build with the community. And the support that we would need is strategic partnership and also compute credits, because these models aren't honestly cheap to run. So we have, honestly, the reason why we exist is because a lot of companies understand the impact and chipped in to what we are working towards. So we would require those strategic partnerships to help us and guide us to scale this product.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next startup. It's Be Educate by Hahu. You may know them up. The co-founders, Or and Nigist are here, Switzerland. Over to you. Your time is now. Okay, later.
Taking our time. But we can start by introducing ourselves so we save time. My name is Nigist Goitom, and I'm the... Am I cheating? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Nigist, and I'm the founder of Hahu.
And my name is Ol Feldman Salem, and I'm the co-founder.
I'm going to take you to a vision, and that's in 10 years, we actually have the technology for the first time to digitalize all of Ethiopian languages and even more, including dead, endangered, and live. And we are, instead of the pre-learning is already done and we can already fine-tune, which means there is seamless communication between languages, between institutions, between people. It's possible. But we're starting today, and this is our baseline. Where is the baseline? We have 30 institutional languages, which is actually very impressive. It's very good. We have 36 stable languages. What that means is we have data to train on. We have know-how that is not endangered. But 21 are endangered, which means we have time running out for them. We need to be quick. And then 2 are dead or extinct, but even in GIS, for example, we still have a lot of knowledge in around 750,000 manuscripts. So we have so much data to even make it alive again. So how are we doing? We're implementing a financial model called blended finance or innovative finance. This is where we start with partnerships. What we do is we partner up with corporations, for example, OpenAI, AWS, which we're working with already. And we also have, in communication, but in Switzerland, there is the Swiss own AI called AFTS. We're also kind of, we have a venue that we need to explore by the end of February. And then we have the social impact side. This is where we work with organizations like Gumaye Foundation, which just signed the MOU this morning. They're working with 5 universities all around Ethiopia, multiple NGOs, and also the Culture and Heritage Ministry. So this is the impact part. And then, of course, the private, the public sector. This is to make sure that the tool is deployment ready for the countries or for the contexts.
But now you may ask, what are we doing? So basically, we're collecting data. But the hardest part in collecting data is to find the right source. And the right source is universities, professors who have the data, the cultural impact. What we did, we built a system, an easy platform for the people that, is it working? It's working slowly. They enter to the platform, they can upload back. Now you're gonna remove us a minute? No. The demo should work. It's a video. You're joking.
How it works is, you go.
I will do it. The idea is very simple. We collect data, not just data, cultural stories, stories from your history, stories that were passed in the oral traditions, stories that are part of your identity, part of your sentences that says who you are. The way they do it, they upload the data, either speaking, texting. They translate it to English. We have we have audio, we have timestamp that are so critical for quality data that actually, thank you, it's working. So they compile it very fast. They choose what they want to upload. Is it a song? Is it a book? Is it a game to help children learn the language, learn how to read and write in their mother tongue in areas they don't have it? They can write the original text. We can upload a keyboard in case the script does not exist. And where the word ends, and then they can correct it and make sure that it works. And what's really amazing, if you ask me, is the moment they finish to upload, does not stay in the archive. This goes to the hands of students, of families, and actually help them learn about their culture. As you can see, they put an input, they generate an image, the image goes all over the story, and in 1 second, you can actually enter, read the story, listen to it, see the translation. That means it also impacts the community back home to learn English to connect them to the global world. So, and also, by the way, we always make sure that those stories question in the end, making sure that the children develop their critical thinking. So it's not just collecting data, it's actually making an impact. So please check us out. We're already working.
It's deployment ready. You can scan it, you can try it. It's working for multiple languages. It's ready to be deployed in Ethiopia or in Africa or any context that we have partnerships at.
And this is our amazing team.
Yes, we really have the most amazing team.
We're
really
very
do.
thankful, and also for Zakaria for bringing us here. Like, you're the best.
Thank you very much. Actually, you had 10 seconds left, so thanks for
Yes.
finishing in time. Thank you so much. So just for information, I use Hahu app to teach my children Amharic, so I have a personal experience. Back to the question, what is the vision for the next 3 years? And what partnership, what support do you need from the ecosystem and from OpenAI?
It's really partnership, partnership, and partnership, because we're full stack, deployment ready. The impact is already embedded in the system. You really don't have to think of impact. Accessibility is there, employment is there, archival is there. We need to start, I don't know, but UNESCO says that languages are dying 1 language in 2 weeks. So there is also an urgency, especially for African languages and low resource languages. We're deployment ready. So the partnership comes, we can start collecting and making language accessible for everyone tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the fourth startup, Hassab AI, and going to be presented by Kronos EDX.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kronos EDX. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Hassab AI. You've been listening a lot about languages, voice AI. So we're here to break language barriers. So I want you to take note of 3 numbers. 1.4 billion people in Africa, fastest growing youth, 2,000 plus languages spoken, and 60+% of any conversation and communications in enterprises are in voice. So that's why we say the next billion users of AI will not be typing, will not be using keyboards on text. They will be using voice. That's why we created the voice AI language barrier breaker. So what we saw as a problem, 3 things. For verticals in healthcare, agriculture, public services, telcos, banks, all these industries, we do not have enough AI models that have good context for this language. Second, 90% of insights in enterprises are buried. They do not have good insights as enterprise to make a better decision. Third, low resource, even to collect data. We have an average of less than 200 hours of data to train our models on for low resource in Africa. So what did we come up with? Hassab AI. We built TTS and ASR models for enterprise focused. This could be businesses, government, and other organizations primarily. Okay, we are tapping into a $3.5 billion untapped market, but the number, the 3.5 billion is not the most interesting part. It's growing 32.7 annually. That means there's a huge potential to have, there's a lot of room to grow as well. So our solutions so far, we've processed 250,000 plus audios, 15 plus enterprise pilots going live very soon. And we're supporting 3 languages now, but in the next 6 months, we're going to be adding 6 more languages. Partners, I think you might know some of them, you might not know some of them. I'll just pass by. If you have any questions later on, we will come. So, demo. In healthcare, 40 to 50% of healthcare professionals' work is clerkial. That means they do reporting, documenting. So in continent like Africa that has small number of doctor to patient ratio, we cannot waste 40%, 50% of their time documenting. So we have, this is one of the use cases that we've built, a SOAP note generator that can be integrated into AMR solutions. I was very happy actually to listen to the Fireside chat as well, that OpenAI is doing it in Rwanda. And I hope whenever you're here, we're going to be collaborating on this. This is already ready to go. Our team is from all around the world, from HP, Google Cloud, Carnegie Mellon, Tel Aviv. So we've had the hands-on experience to build these solutions, and we've already proven that through building the solution as well. So next 18 months, product expansion into 5 more languages, commercial, additional 7 more, because we're also implementing a DPI model. We encourage governments to use AI and include our solutions as well. Third, at least 10 million audio processed. This is how we make money. I'm not going to tell you a lot about this. If you have any questions, you can ask me. We have pay-as-you-go and enterprise licensing models. So what we're looking for, other than investment, R&D partners, we want to do data collection. We have actually built a data collection pipeline for his voice AI for local languages, which we're already using and utilizing for our own services, and talent training, of course. And thank you.
You still have 15 seconds if you want to go ahead. You have 15 seconds, yeah.
So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me later on. I've said enough. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So you've mentioned about partnership and R&D in your last presentation, but I'm going to ask you the same question.
Sure.
What is the vision the next 3 years? Yes, beyond R&D, any support, partnership from the ecosystem, including the policymakers and, of course, OpenAI.
Yeah. So we're looking very closely to the PDP, the Personal Data Protection Proclamation, which is very essential for any of the AI solutions. So data sovereignty, I actually removed the slide to get the 30 seconds. So why are we doing it now? Data sovereignty, technology sovereignty is at the top of every government's discussion. So we want support from the policymakers as well to easily implement this. Regarding partnerships, we already have requests from different companies that are operating 20, 30 countries to include more languages, especially African languages. So we would want the partnership in especially data collection, because that's very key. As Fred earlier mentioned, it's the oil for any engine, so for AI. So we want to partner on those things. The medical use case, that's one of the biggest things that we're seeing. So we want to partner on that as well with the OpenAI.
Awesome. And just to touch on the data sovereignty and also the, the consumer or personal data protection proclamations across the continent. This is something that we are having a high-level policy discussion at the AU level, at the Continental Free Trade Agreement level. We had our side events
in Nairobi in 2024. We had another one last October in Accra. So basically, the digital trade protocol has already been legally and politically approved by the continent. So basically what it means, all 49 signatory countries can legally transfer data among member states. But that is still a proclamation and a policy. Execution has been a challenge. It's been a year. So we have that high-level conversation among policymakers. So hopefully that digital trade protocol implementation at the AU level will help.
Definitely.
And we hope to see that expansion, that data legally can be transferred within those signatory bodies.
We're hoping for that. The proclamation in Ethiopia has already been ratified by the HPR. Data governance regulation is already there. So we're looking into what's the most sustainable. We don't want a toy for a week or month. So we want it to be very scalable and sustainable. So that's why thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, 2 more to go. So it seems that most of the innovators are focused on education and language. So you can see where the big gap and the opportunity is. So the next startup is Learning Cloud Ethiopia, and Mahalet is presenting. Your time is now starting.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Mahalet Siyum, and I'm a CEO of Learning Cloud, which is owned by Grar System Technologies. And this is the Kickstarter. So our product is AI-enhanced e-learning platform for primary education. So let's start from the big problem. So in Africa and in Ethiopia, there are because of overcrowded classroom and even school out of children, even from 10 students, from 10 children, 9 of them could not read a simple text and have basic foundational education gap. So the image you see in here is not in the rural area, it's in the city even. So greater than 75 students in one class is learning even in the primary school. So under-trained teachers, overcrowded classrooms, which came up for 60% of them fail their primary education. And limited practice time is another major cause. So how we fill this gap is we came up with gamified platform. So we enable daily skills and which improve their personal adoption, which is with Ethiopian curriculum, with the Ministry of Education and regional bureaus. The next is about personalization. So here they come, so they will learn with their faces, with their pronunciations, and with their own faces. And the third and the most important thing is we go to the government school because we don't afford the private school. So we came up with 30 birr per month subscription fee. So what are the traction that we have made? So we launched last month and we got over 1,000 users and 10% of them are buying customers. We got certified from Ministry of Education to deploy this application throughout the country. And from Addis Ababa Education Bureau, we got the curriculum align, the curriculum check and artificial intelligence institution to get the data availability and also computing resources. Ministry of Innovation also taking it as a startup and winning the AI Unipod with $2,000, 2,000 birr, I mean 200,000. This is our platform. So this is easy for that the teachers could engage. As you can see, this is our subject platform and this is the game. So one of our game is pronunciation, that the English language. So I have got a good result, so I could spell an apple, and so you can taste the apple also. So we have in Ethiopia, we have about, in grade 1, we have about 5 subjects. From the 5, we converted all 5 to the games. So the one is, so you could see the Candy Crush game imagination. So we put it, so the science, the maths, the English, every games, every subjects are converted to the games. So what do we ask for OpenAI? So we are seeking an OpenAI partnership to scale up to our platform to other African countries. So we know African accent is not known by most of the platforms, right? So as we working in Ethiopia and as we got more, we are using OpenAI, so the medium model to fine tune the kid's voice. So to the naked, we want to fine-tune this model and to recognize our voice, and so our children could read and write an English language. Yeah, thank you. And when you can scan it from our URL and
Thank you, Mahalet. You finished in 3 minutes and 39 seconds.
Oh.
Good job. And you've also addressed the last question, what support do you need from OpenAI? You've already addressed it. But I'm going to ask you, what is the vision for 3 years? And what support do you need from the tech ecosystem and from the policymaker?
So our vision for the next 2-3 years and the first is to reach for most of African countries. So we, as I mentioned before, foundation education gap is not about the Ethiopian issue, it's an African issue. So we need to deploy this application to other African countries. Basically, we need to start from the English language, like Uganda and Liberia. So we started some, so when we scale this, so we fill the foundational education gap and more so to have our accents, to know our accents. We Africans have different, so we could, we want to be addressable to African countries, and from the OpenAI, we need a partnership so that African voice could be pre-trained, and we would deploy this in large scale.
Thank you very much, Mahalet.
Thank you.
Last one to go. And the next startup is also focused on education, but on a special type of education. And it's going to be presented by Manahat Thomas, who joined us from Virginia or Washington, D.C. Let me just say Washington, D.C. Okay. Whenever you're ready, I'll start the timer. And this is going to be very interesting. Manahat is my boss when it comes to our content at Africa Fintech Summit. Even the Fireside chat I've been doing, 5 minutes left, 1 minute left. She's been monitoring my time. So it's now my turn to stop her when she hits 5 minutes. Okay, Manat, your time has started.
All right, thanks, Zach. So good afternoon. My name is Manhat Thomas. I am the co-founder and CEO of Kronos EDX. And today I'm here to talk to you about something that's, simple, but yet foundational, especially when it comes to education. A lot of our current education infrastructures, whether it is here in Ethiopia, Africa, globally, do not measure understanding, true understanding and comprehension. We measure performance, we measure recall, we measure snapshots in the learning process, but we don't measure comprehension. All right, so put your hands up. Who notices or who has seen one of these formulas growing up or going to school? Hands up. Okay. Who knows how to apply them in real life? Okay, you're very smart. And this is exactly what we're solving against, right? Comprehension is a very unmet need. And many of us can recite this. They're living rent-free in my brain. But how do I apply the Pythagorean theorem into daily life? I have no idea. So education systems across the world reward memorization, but not comprehension, which is kind of fundamental for true understanding. Actually here. All right. So exams measure snapshots in time in the learning process. Insights come too late. Teachers lack real-time insights and ability and relevant feedback loops. So, unfortunately, sometimes students or learners fall behind. And sometimes, these silent failings is the problem, and that's what matters, right? Because by the time we realize a student or a learner is falling behind or does not understand a specific concept or does not understand a specific teaching, the system has already moved on. Sorry. So this is where Kronos comes to, that's where we're existing right now. Kronos EDX is an AI-powered comprehension intelligence. We measure and strengthen understanding continuously and not just at the end of the term. We're not taking tests. We're not here to take tests at the end of a term. We're here to continuously engage and interact with students and learners to measure their improvement throughout time, but also to understand how they grow and grow with them. You know, we're built with the African contextual intelligence, and we're designed to scale globally. And when I mean African contextual intelligence, what I'm talking about is we continue to prioritize national curriculums of countries that are based in Africa. We align with systems that actually So just let me demo this. Actually, no. We built 3 core layers. One is a curriculum-aligned knowledge graph. The second one is continuous interaction mapping, meaning that we're always keeping tabs on the students and their learning journey. 3, concept level growth tracking. So in simple terms, when a student passes a test or passes a specific course, we don't just know that they've passed, but we have mapped their entire journey. So we know when they've had challenges, we've had which concepts that they've had challenges with, when they had those challenges, and if the teacher needs to intervene and repair that, and you know, whether they've improved over time. We all talk about AI in systems, language, education, infrastructure policy, and digital transformation, but learning is purely human. People learn from other people. And let me show you a learning journey, the demo of what it is like for a student to be on our platform and how to interact with a specific course. So this is them selecting a specific subject and then a topic area. It's a little bit long, so let me just forward it a little bit. So the idea is for the students to also feel empowered.
Time is up. But thank you so much. But so the same question we have asked, what is the vision for Kronos for the next 3 years, and what support or ecosystem partnership do you need from policymakers and from OpenAI?
So the vision for the next 2 to 3 years is we're pilot ready and we're enterprise ready, is to get some of our pilots out to institutions and public sector. We're looking to ingest more curriculums in other countries outside of just Ethiopia. Right now we're live in Ethiopia, but Rwanda and Kenya are next. And you know, I heard a lot of great pitches or demos today, and I'm hoping to partner with those pitchers or those companies because they're very complementary to what we're doing. And from an OpenAI perspective, I think everybody has the same answer, and that is computational credits, like, you know, API credits, and partnership, because there's a lot of synergy in what OpenAI is doing that we could also tap into and leverage.
Thank you so much, Anna. Good. So thank you so much for all innovators who demonstrated their services, their product, their innovations, but they will have an exhibition booth, so to speak, at the end of this session. So feel free to stop by their desk, ask questions, network, and also potentially partner for either as a client, as a partner. And I also heard someone saying investment. So if any of you are interested to invest in these tech startups, I think they are open. But I have one question for you. Has anyone attended the Africa Fintech Summit in 2019 here in Sheraton, Addis? Yep, you were our speaker. Okay, good. And Adam was here. Anyone attended Africa Fintech Summit? No? Okay. We host twice a year Fintech Summit, one in Washington, D.C. during the World Bank Spring Meeting, for the obvious reason, because the entire Africa will be in D.C. for the World Bank meeting. So it's easier to talk about, you know, U.S.-Africa fintech connection, policy making, cross-border payment, and once every year we take the global investor to Africa. We started Nigeria in 2018, and then Ethiopia 2019. 2020 was virtual because of COVID. And then Cairo 2021, Cape Town 2022, Lusaka, Zambia 23, 24 was Nairobi, and we went to Ghana last year. This November, we are heading to Kigali, Rwanda. Our summit has been since 2020. If you can make it in person, either in DC or Kigali, we'd love to invite you and join us. Just go to Africa Fintech Summit, and then you have also be streaming. Join us virtually from wherever you are. So that is my invitation. But before we conclude, I would like to invite Miraf and Emmanuel just to say thank you. You know, it is a very busy week for all of you. Thank you for carving time out and staying with us. We have a very busy schedule the next 2 days. We have a few engagements with policymakers tomorrow, and we're going to show Addis to Emmanuel, and it's going to be a curated tourist guide by Addis Ababa Tourism Commission. So the end game is that, who knows, Emmanuel and OpenAI may decide to move to Addis and making Addis their headquarters for Africa. And there are so many reasons for that, right? So you have a talented young generation applying AI, as we've seen. And if you bet in Addis, you can go to any corner of Africa with Ethiopian Airlines easily. And as you're going to see tomorrow, you're going to see also a beautiful city. So we'll wait for that decision to come through. I know that you're going to take a lot of pictures, and we wish you all the best as you decide your next AI hub. You started in Lagos, but we're hoping that that hub will come to Addis, or Addis may be your African headquarters. Who knows, right? Do you support that? Okay. So in that note, we'll invite Emmanuel to say a few words of conclusion, and Maraf, thank you so much for hosting us, not only to you, but to all your team. It has been a pleasure working with you in preparation. You know, as famous as you are, you gave us your time. So namaskar, thank you. Emmanuel.
Well, the words, I just want to say thank you so much for the Africa Fintech Summit, ALX, obviously the celebrity of the day. It's been a pleasure being at the Tech Hub. It's to connect with all the talent, for giving me the platform to actually speak, to share more about OpenAI. It's also my first time at Addis, and this was the first stop. And the first stop definitely set the tone for the trip. So I'm looking forward to even more conversation, to learn more about Addis in Ethiopia. And again, the hand should rather go to you and all the presenters, because you guys are doing incredible work. And I just happen to be the messenger, and I'm so grateful opportunity. And yeah, looking forward to collaborating more in the future. And thanks so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Maraf will say the last concluding remark, and what I would like all
Sure, thank you. I hope if you take away one thing today, that I'm not a tour guide. However, if it means OpenAI will open a hub in Addis, I am more than willing to be your tour guide for one day. That's a deal. You gonna take that? You gonna take that? So we have not convinced Emmanuel yet, which means tomorrow, Zacharias, you have a big job. But I do hope we've gotten you closer to a decision today by having seen the turnout. As you can see, everyone here, to be honest, they were not here to see me or my CEO or Zacharias. They were here to hear from OpenAI. You know, as you know, but OpenAI is more than that. And I think there's just a lot of hungry young people that are innovating around AI. They want to use AI not just as tools, but to build, to innovate. So, you know, we will be very delighted if you make Addis your home. Yeah, we're even willing to learn 5 languages like you. But thank you so much. And Zacharias, it was an absolute pleasure hosting you. Thank you for asking us to host you, and of course, thank you to your team as well, and my team. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much. So you can enjoy drink and refreshment. Again, kind sponsorship from OpenAI. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So we'll follow the same turn for taking picture. It's just only the 6 startup you can stay here, but the rest of us, let's go to the networking area. As soon as we take pictures, we'll come and join you. Enjoy. Welcome, Mishit.
Levanta, 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 levanta. Yeah, we were dreaming while we're waking, different tongues, same fire blazing, from the night down to the peak. One up.